All right, Liz, everything's sounding good. In emergency medicine, it's always best to come get checked out and let me tell you that everything's going to be okay rather than staying at home until it's too late. I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton with another Tools of the Trade. Today I'm joined by Sam Baumgartner, a paramedic with the Lexington Fire Department, who's going to tell us about the EZ-IO. The most important thing is for us to focus on it, become aware of it. This report comes out every 4 years. This is very important to get awareness. I was in a meeting today in Louisville. We were talking about some of the things, including putting up some protocols with EMS for stroke and heart attack, getting people where they need to be, when they need to be there, and also legislation to help make sure we protect patients and providers, and so we can make sure that this care is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when it comes to a decision about going to the emergency room, it's very important to know when it's more than just a little scrape. And so the idea of the report mainly is that it's not a judgment of emergency medicine care.
Sure.
Care is fantastic. You're going to go to emergency rooms, everybody's doing their best job. You know, for the most part, you're going to get good care wherever you go. But what this report talks about is the environment around emergency medicine. There are no guarantees in life and no guarantees in horse racing. But with the standard safety equipment, maybe these riders will just live to ride another day. I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton for ABC 36 News. I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton with another Tools of the Trade. Today I'm joined by Sam Baumgartner, a paramedic with the Lexington Fire Department, who's going to tell us about the EZ-IO. Sam, thanks for joining me. All right, now Sam, at first glance this thing looks like it came out of a kid's toy box. What is the EZ-IO?
It's essentially just a drill that we can use to get into the patient's humerus to deliver medicines like an IV quickly. All
right, so you mentioned the humerus. Why is the bone such an ideal place for this device?
It goes into the space where the marrow is, where the red blood cells are made. That way we can deliver, it's almost like a vein, we can deliver medications or fluids into that space rapidly for patients that need it right away.
Now when you're on a scene, when are the situations where you would use a device like this?
There are a variety of applications for this. This is mainly for patients who need access right away, heart attacks, burns, severe trauma, basically patients that need access immediately.
All right, I want to have Sam tell us how this device works, and while we're doing that, we're actually going to show a little bit of video of him actually placing one in my arm in the studio. So Sam, tell us how this device works.
Essentially, you find your landmarks in the humerus or the tibial site. For this demonstration, we're talking about the humerus. Once you find your landmarks, you attach the needle and you poke it through the skin to find the head of the humerus, and then you drill through to the center of the bone and unscrew, and that part sticks inside the humerus to deliver the fluids.
How long does this process take?
It takes seconds, literally 10 to 20 seconds.
Now the question on a lot of people's mind now is, why is this important?
Because you don't have to waste time looking for peripheral access sites. It's very fast, it's very effective. In these kind of situations, time is tissue and time is life, and you can gain access right away.
Thank you, Sam. There you have it, another tool right there on the front lines of medicine. I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton, and I hope you join me next time for Tools of the Trade.
Judging by the number of times Kentucky comes out near the bottom of national health rankings, the situation looks pretty bleak sometimes. The American College of Emergency Physicians has released a new report. It's a report card which gives Kentucky an overall grade of D. But what exactly does that mean? Our doc on call, emergency physician Dr. Ryan Stanton, is here to explain. And Dr. Stanton, you came on our 5 o'clock show yesterday to tell us a little bit about this, but we can get a little bit more in depth here because your viewer Rhonda asked, in regards to this report card, she asked, well, we have a lot of work to do. How do we compare to other states our size?
Well, I think that's a great question because really nobody knocks it out of the park, and really nobody completely bottoms out at the bottom either. And so the idea of the report mainly is that it's not a judgment of emergency medicine care.
Sure.
Care is fantastic. You're going to go to emergency rooms, everybody's doing their best job. You know, for the most part, you're going to get good care wherever you go. But what this report talks about is the environment around emergency medicine. So you see here the 5 characteristics they looked at. Access to emergency care, we do pretty well from that category. The quality, medical liability, public health, and disaster preparedness. And so I think the best way to look at this is to look at it from the map standpoint, how we look compared to on that map. And mainly the darker red you are and closer to the black on there, the worse you're doing. And so this is actually the overall trend. And this is what I'm worried about here, is we're kind of an island with Indiana and Illinois in this case in terms of areas. And the main thing we're talking about here is how to attract good quality health professionals and to make sure that we get our patients the best care and access to care as possible. So from the next is the access. You see there, we look pretty good. We're an island in the good on that one. Ohio's a little bit lighter, but you can see there on the coast, you may have some great oceans and some beachfront property, but you're not going to have great access to health care. A lot of that has to do with ERs closing, more rural areas not having. That's an issue we don't really have in the state. Most places have good ERs. I'm concerned that that may change down the road, but for now we're pretty good. When it comes to quality and patient safety, this is really looking more at EMS. Do we get you where you need to be faster? Here we really need to work on stroke care and in terms of heart attacks, getting you to the centers that can take care of them. We have the centers, but getting you to them efficiently, and we actually have a lot of changes in place. So right there, again, an island in the black. Moving on to medical liability, this is a place where we have lagged for years and years and years in medicine, is medical liability in terms of protecting patients and providers who are doing what they should be doing. Kentucky, thank goodness for Illinois and Missouri right there giving us a little friendship, but we're an island right there. A lot of the states right around us, Indiana, Ohio, and Tennessee have done some great work in terms of making that better. Moving on now into the public health and injury. We do great in terms of getting our folks immunized against the flu vaccine, against flu and things like that. Where we fail and why we're not in a great category here is smoking. We are still #1 in the country for the number of adults that smoke, and we're also very high in terms of obesity. Yes, and cancer as well, and the side effects from those. I see those on a daily basis. So until we get those addressed, we're going to continue to be in a poor category there. We do have legislation that's coming up for the smoking. Disaster preparedness, this has to do, are we ready if something happens? Luckily, we live in a state where we don't have a lot of threat when it comes to terrorists, but when it comes to things, natural disasters, tornadoes, nasty winds, we see those all the time. We are susceptible there. So how do we respond? A lot of local areas, especially Lexington, have plans in place, but how do we interact with the areas around us? They may not be able to respond very well. So how do we communicate? How do we make sure that we get people to the resources they need? And so what this report really does, it's not a judgment of the system itself. It's more of an opportunity for us to turn around, focus on it, and start to make the changes, because none of us want to. Emergency medicine is like the safety net under the tightrope. We don't want to use it. Nobody wants it to be there, but you sure are appreciative when you need it.
Right, absolutely. Well, it looks like we're in good company with other states that also need to improve. Nobody seemed to have a perfect score, but just things we can focus on.
Well, I see the spotlight in our state and starting to move that direction, and so I think we're going to see in the next one coming up in another 4 or 5 years that we will move up quite a bit.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for explaining it, Dr. Stanton. And we know that you and other folks in your profession are working hard to make these grades go up and up and up.
Our doc on call is emergency room physician Ryan Stanton. He joins us now to talk about this report. And Dr. Stanton, let's start with the basics. Why did Kentucky get a bad grade of D?
Well, really what boiled down to is this isn't really about care in Kentucky. Emergency physicians, nurses, staff do a wonderful job. What this is about is the environment around healthcare. So the things that are affecting what we can do in the emergency room. Why did we get such bad care? Well, it's actually because a lot of the focus isn't on ER and emergency medicine. We've ignored it for so long that a lot of the things we need to do to take care of the people in this state haven't taken place.
Now, how do we turn things around and really start improving emergency rooms and healthcare in ER rooms across the state?
Well, the most important thing is for us to focus on it, become aware of it. This report comes out every 4 years. This is very important to get awareness. I was in a meeting today in Louisville. We were talking about some of the things, including putting up some protocols with EMS for stroke and heart attack, getting people where they need to be, when they need to be there, and also legislation to help make sure we protect patients and providers, and so we can make sure that this care is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Complicated, not easy to fix, and again, bears repeating, this doesn't mean that if you go to an ER in Kentucky, you're going to get bad care from the doctors and nurses.
This just means what we want to do is make it better and make sure that you can get to us faster and we can get you where you need to be efficiently and quickly.
All right, emergency room physician Dr. Ryan Stanton, thank you for your insights, sir.
Thank you. Here at Keeneland Racecourse, we want to take a closer look at jockeys, keeping them safe. Earlier this week, Calvin Burrell broke his leg. So how do jockeys stay safe at 40 miles per hour on the back of a 1,200-pound animal? The preparations start well before hitting the track, with jockey Anthony Stephen getting weighed in and the horse getting a little warm-up walk in the paddock. Minutes before the race, Stephen takes the mount and heads out on the track. With the starting bell, and for the next minute, the jockey's job is a blur of horses and speed. During the race, Anthony lessens potential injury with the aid of standard safety equipment.
Number one will be the helmet and the body protector. That's the two main stuff we normally wear every day.
But that's no guarantee against injury.
I think common is collarbones. It's very easy, you know, a horse stumble, you fall the wrong way, your collarbone pops out.
So how does it feel not to have the equipment?
If I would come to work in the morning and for some reason I forget to put it on, I feel almost naked. So it's almost like you feel so much safer wearing it.
In the end, Anthony and Juanita Senorita finished in second place, but just by a nose. Today's race went injury-free, but if it hadn't, Dr. Barry Schumer, medical director for Keeneland Racecourse, and his team would be there with the aid of the information in the Jockey Health Information Center.
When a rider gets injured, and an example was just a couple of days ago when we had a rider down, rider was not able to give us answers to any questions, but we had his full medical history and all of his contact information available in the first aid unit before he even arrived on the stretcher.
Potentially life-saving information at their fingertips. There are no guarantees in life and no guarantees in horse racing, but with the standard safety equipment, maybe these riders will just live to ride another day. I'm Dr. Ryan Stanton for ABC 36 News.